My name's Ayan, and I'm 25 years old, born and raised in the UK, and proud of my Somali heritage. At least, that's what I used to say. It wasn't until I met Mamadu that I really began to question what being proud meant in our community. I grew up in a home where culture and religion lived side by side, sometimes peacefully, sometimes not. My parents taught me how to read Quran before I was 10, but they also filled my ears with warnings. Don't be too Western. Don't forget your language. Don't marry outside the culture. To be Somali was to be part of this bubble that no one else was allowed in. That's how they framed it. I believed them for a long time. I believed everything they said about identity and pride and protection. Then I went to university. It was there, during my third year, that I met Mamadu. We met at the library during exam season. I was tucked away in a corner, trying to revise for a brutal history module when he walked in. He looked around for a seat and eventually motioned to the empty one across from me. I nodded without saying much. He was quiet, respectful, focused. I noticed that he wasn't like most of the other guys on campus, loud, posturing, always trying to impress. Mamadu was different. He brought with him a kind of calm I hadn't realized I needed. He didn't try to talk to me straight away, which I appreciated. We just worked in silence that first time. Over the next few weeks, we started to notice each other more. Little things. He'd pass me in the corridor and nod. I'd see him at the prayer room before class. Eventually, we got paired in a group presentation. That's when the real conversations began. He had this quiet intelligence, always thinking before he spoke. He asked me what I thought about decolonizing Islamic lands, and I knew then he wasn't just book smart. He had depth. Our conversations flowed easily after that. We talked about our studies, about being African Muslims in a Western academic space, about family pressures. He told me about growing up in Senegal before moving to the UK for university, about his large extended family and his childhood. I shared my own experiences, growing up with two cultures, trying to balance Somali expectations with British reality. We laughed a lot. We also prayed together sometimes, and I loved that. It felt natural, safe. I remember one Friday afternoon after prayers, we sat outside the mosque eating lunch from a halal spot nearby. I asked him, "Do you ever feel like people expect you to choose? Like either be fully African or fully Western?" He smiled. "All the time, but I stopped trying to choose. I just tried to be sincere. That's what matters in the end, right?" It wasn't long before I found myself looking forward to seeing him, even if it was just a passing smile in the hallway. I'd catch myself thinking about things he'd said. He made me reflect in a way I wasn't used to, and he listened, properly listened when I spoke, not just to reply but to understand. Still, I was cautious. We're both practicing Muslims, and I didn't want to cross any lines. I kept things respectful, but in my heart, I began to feel something deeper forming. Something beyond friendship, beyond intellectual connection. I remember thinking about him late one night. That's when I knew I wanted more. I didn't say anything right away, but I knew. I wanted to marry him. I eventually brought it up one afternoon. We were sitting in the campus garden, books spread around us, pretending to study, but mostly just talking. "Mamadu," I said nervously, "have you ever thought about marriage?" He looked at me, that gentle, thoughtful expression on his face. "I have," he said, "a lot lately." We didn't rush into anything. We took our time, prayed istikhara, spoke to our mentors. We kept it quiet, out of respect for our families and the boundaries of our faith. But I was hopeful, maybe naively so. In my mind, I thought, our parents are Muslims. They'll see that we're compatible. They'll be happy that I found someone who respects me, who values our deen, who treats me with kindness. I didn't realize then just how deep the divisions ran. I thought Islam would be enough, but for some, no matter how pious or kind a person is, the color of their skin still speaks louder. I was full of hope and nerves, so I decided it was time to tell my family. I brought it up after prayers, sitting in the living room with my mother, sipping spiced tea. I thought it might be easier to start with her, to ease into the conversation gently. "Mom," I began, trying to sound casual, "there's someone I've been getting to know. We met at university. He's Senegalese, Muslim, practicing. I'd like you and Dad to meet him soon. We're thinking about marriage." Her face changed immediately. Not shock, disapproval. She set her cup down slowly and turned to face me. Senegalese, she repeated, her voice already cold. West African? Yes, I said quietly. She didn't say much more, just gave me a look that told me everything. When my father joined us later, it got worse, much worse. He was quieter at first, listening, but when I explained that Mamadu was kind, religious, responsible, and serious about marriage, his silence broke. Why would you bring us a jarir? He said, the word heavy, like a curse. You know better than this, Ayan. The word hit me in the chest, jarir, a word I had grown up hearing in whispers, in jokes, in warnings, not just about West Africans, but about Somali Bantu too. It was always used to separate us from them. It meant kinky hair, dark skin, and everything my parents had taught me, explicitly and implicitly, to avoid. I felt my heart drop. He's Muslim, I said. He's kind. He treats me well. He's everything you've always said a man should be. But he's not Somali, my mom said flatly. You could marry a Somali man, even a Yemeni, but not a West African. Why not? I asked, my voice rising. Isn't Islam supposed to come before clan and color? They both looked at me like I was naive. Be realistic, my dad said. We're not like them. We're Cushitic, East African. We have our own traditions, our own people. That's just racism, I snapped before I could stop myself. You act like you're better than them, like we're some elite class of Africans, but the Arabs you look up to, they laugh at us. We're nothing but a bead to them when we visit their countries. My mom gasped. Don't say such things. It's true, I said. You want me to marry a Yemeni man who sees me as less than him, who'll never consider me his equal because I'm Somali. At least Mamadu respects me. He accepts me. We are similar to Yemenis, my dad said, stubborn, in faith, in values, even in features. We're not like the West Africans. Features? Really, Dad? Don't be delusional. Yemenis look nothing like us. Unless you're talking about the black Yemenis called the Al-Akdam, they treat like trash, who are relegated to be street cleaners, like the untouchables of India. I looked at them, truly looked, and felt a sadness I couldn't explain. Yemenis are Arabs. They don't see us as one of them. You can pretend all you like, but it doesn't change anything. We're black, Cushitic, and there's nothing wrong with that. Why can't you be proud of who we are instead of trying to attach yourself to people who don't claim us? They said nothing for a moment, just silence, heavy, wounded, angry silence. I left the room without another word. For the first time, I felt like I didn't belong in my own family. And yet I also felt something else, clarity. This wasn't just about Mamadu. This was about the lies we tell ourselves about race, religion, and identity, and I wasn't going to be part of it any longer. I met Mamadu's family during the winter break. His older sister had invited me for dinner, a casual gathering, she said, just a few relatives. I was nervous, not because I thought they wouldn't like me, but because I'd never been welcomed so openly before. From the moment I stepped into their home, I felt it, the warmth, genuine warmth. His mother hugged me like she'd known me for years. His sister asked about my studies, my favorite Somali dishes, my childhood memories. They made space for me, not just physically but emotionally. I wasn't an outsider. I was a guest, soon to be family, inshallah. There was no interrogation, no guarded stares, no questioning of my background or skin tone. They didn't see me as some East African anomaly. They saw me as Ayan, someone their son loved. That was enough for them. Later that evening, Mamadu's father sat beside me after dinner. We spoke about Islam, about the responsibilities of marriage, about patience and compromise. He didn't lecture me, he shared. It reminded me of how elders are meant to guide with compassion. As I left that night, with containers of food and promises to visit again, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. I called Mamadu on the way home and told him, "Your family made me feel like I mattered. No conditions, no caveats." He was quiet for a moment. "You do matter," he said. I started comparing everything after that. Every harsh word from my parents to the gentleness of his. Every door slammed in my face to the ones they opened with joy. But the truth still lingered. I loved my parents, I respected them, and I couldn't pretend that their absence from my life wouldn't hurt. I wrestled with guilt. Was I betraying them by pursuing this, or was I finally honoring myself? I spoke to an older cousin of mine, a woman I trusted, who had married outside the culture and had gone through her own battle for acceptance. She told me something I haven't forgotten. Your parents taught you to love Islam, but now Islam is teaching you to love people, not based on race, but character. Don't let their fear become your legacy. I prayed long, quiet prayers, asking Allah to guide me. I didn't want to cut off my family, but I also couldn't abandon a man who treated me with honor just because of his ethnicity. By the time term started again, I had made a decision. I didn't need their permission to know what was right, but I still hoped they'd one day understand. Because this was never about defiance, it was about truth, and I had found mine. In the weeks following our marriage, I found myself straddling two worlds. On one hand, I had peace. Peace with Mamadu, peace with myself, peace in the simplicity of choosing someone who loved me sincerely and loved Allah even more. But on the other hand, I still carried the weight of absence. My parents' silence was louder than any disapproval they'd voiced. They hadn't called. Not once. Some days I'd replay our last conversation in my head, picking at it like a scab. Part of me still hoped I'd hear their voices again, even just to argue, even just to say they missed me. But there was nothing. Just quiet, cold and final. I didn't tell Mamadu how often I cried about it. He already carried too much. He'd offered so much patience, gentleness and strength. I didn't want to burden him with more. I kept smiling, kept showing up for our life, but I grieved quietly in the moments between. We settled into our marriage in small, steady steps, sharing meals, late-night walks, study sessions that blurred into laughter. There was so much tenderness between us, so much trust. Sometimes he'd reach for my hand during a quiet moment and just say, Alhamdulillah. And I would echo him, quietly, truthfully, Alhamdulillah. But the guilt never fully left. Islam teaches us to honor our parents, to seek their approval, to show them respect. I struggled with that. Was I wrong to have gone ahead without their blessing? Was love and compatibility enough? I sought out advice from someone I respected, an imam I'd known since childhood, one of the few community figures I knew to be fair-minded. I didn't give him all the details, just enough. My parents objected to the man I wanted to marry because of his ethnicity, despite his piety and good character. The imam paused before responding. Ayan, he said gently, our faith teaches us to obey our parents unless they command us towards something unjust. Racism is a disease of the heart. To reject someone solely based on their skin color or background is not only unjust, it's un-Islamic. I exhaled, something loosening in my chest. He continued, your marriage is valid. Your intention was sound. You sought knowledge, you made istikhara, you were patient. What you did was not wrong, but it was difficult, and that is where your test lies. I nodded slowly. So what now? Now you live with grace. You show them through your actions what kind of person he is, what kind of woman you are. You don't repay anger with anger. You don't harden your heart. Keep a door open, even if they've closed theirs. I left feeling lighter, not free of pain, but finally reassured that I hadn't turned my back on my deen, that, in some strange way, I had honored it. Mamadu and I moved into a small flat near the university. We lived simply, second-hand furniture, mismatched plates, shared prayer mats, but I was happy. We made time for Quran in the mornings and long walks in the evenings. We argued sometimes, of course, but even then, we did so with respect. I'd seen too many couples talk over one another, cut each other down. We tried to listen, and yet, every time I saw a missed call from an unknown number, my heart jumped. Every time a letter came through the door, I half hoped it would be from my parents. I missed my mother's cooking, my father's dry humor, my siblings' chaos. There were nights I dreamed of them, only to wake up to that same aching silence. Then, one afternoon, I received a message from my youngest brother. Mum asked about you. She didn't say much, but she asked. Just thought you should know. It wasn't a reconciliation, it wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. A crack in the wall, and I held onto it like a lifeline. I replied, "Tell her I'm doing well, that I miss her, that I'm praying for all of you." That's all I could do for now. As the months passed, I started to see that love isn't always about perfect endings. Sometimes love is choosing to do the harder thing. Sometimes it's speaking truth even when it costs you something. Sometimes it's building a new home while still praying for the old one to open its doors again. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if my parents will ever accept Mamadu. I don't know if we'll share a meal again, laugh the way we used to, or if they'll ever hold any children I might one day have. But I do know this: I didn't choose him in spite of my faith. I chose him because of it, because it taught me that taqwa matters more than lineage. That honor lies in the heart, not the bloodline. And I chose myself too, the version of me who refuses to carry the weight of someone else's prejudice, who believes that love built on truth is worth fighting for. So as I stand now, hand in hand with my husband, I'm not waiting for anyone's approval to validate our joy. I'm not asking permission to live a life of sincerity. But I'm still leaving the door open, always, in hope, in faith, in love. I just finished reading Ayan's story, and honestly, it left me both inspired and heartbroken. Inspired because she stood firm in her values and chose love rooted in faith and character. Heartbroken because what she faced is far too common in our ummah. What's painful about this story isn't just the family rejection, it's the reason behind it: racism, deep internalized racism within the Muslim community, the kind of racism that hides behind words like culture and tradition, the kind that says he's Muslim but not the right kind of black. Ayan and Mamadu share the same faith, the same deen, and even the same continent, yet still, his identity was treated like a barrier. And what makes it worse? Some Somalis, not all, but enough, live in this space of denial, of chasing proximity to Arabs while distancing themselves from other black people, especially West Africans. There's this obsession with being Arab, with being seen as separate, better. This is the identity crisis Ayan called out, loud and clear. She refused to inherit the anti-blackness that lives in the Somali community. Her story shines a light on a part of our ummah that we often try to bury: the racism between black Muslims. Yes, it exists. Yes, it hurts. And yes, it needs to be addressed. What Ayan showed us is that it's possible to choose differently, to break generational cycles, to say, I am Muslim, I am black, and I won't let your colorism or tribalism decide my future. If Ayan's story moved you, do something about it. Talk to your family. Question the language we use. Challenge the bias you see, even when it comes from your own people. We can't fix what we're too scared to name. And if you've experienced what Ayan has, if you've been rejected because of where you're from or the shade of your skin, know that you're not alone. Your story matters. Your faith is valid. Your love is valid. I'm building a space for real Muslim stories, raw ones, hard ones, the ones we don't talk about at home but need to. If that's what you want to see more of, then like, share, subscribe, comment. Start conversations. Pass this story to your mates, your cousins, your uncles, your aunties. Let's tear down this quiet racism hiding in our communities and build something rooted in the actual teachings of Islam: justice, dignity, and love for one another, beyond color and culture. Join me. Let's speak the truth. Let's make it happen, yeah?